Hey, what's going on, y'all? Brother Doug here, and I literally just got back from my little brother from a special early screening of Shazam presented by Fandango. Now, what do I gotta say about Shazam? You know, people are saying this, a lot of the reviewers, and you guys know how I am to the reviews, and critics in general. But I have to agree with them. This probably is by far the best DC movie that's ever been filmed. Like man, not to say that The Dark Knight wasn't amazing. You know, Dark Knight is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time, and I loved Ben Affleck's portrayal of Batman. But you know, I mean, you can't. There's not really many DC movies. DC is not really on that level. Well, now that they're gonna be on that level with Marvel, because I went and saw the real Captain Marvel. For those who don't know, you know, I'm a big trivia buff, so you know that Shazam was originally called Captain Marvel, but because of some rights issues with Marvel, he can still be called Captain Marvel. He just can't be called it, you know, I guess on the front page or something like that. Some legal issues, but anyways, this was the real Captain Marvel movie. I saw Marvel's Captain Marvel, the female Captain Marvel, and it just wasn't my cup of tea, man. It's not I'm not sexist, anything like that. You know, I didn't give a review about Captain Marvel because, you know, I just had my hands tied. But a quick one about that, I just didn't like it. And DC has really been showing their ass lately. I mean, they had Wonder Woman, Justice. I still love Justice League. A lot of people bash me about that. Oh, Justice League sucked. Sure, it had its flaws, but I loved it. Justice League was awesome. Aquaman was awesome, and Shazam was beyond. It reached beyond my expectations. And now that Kevin Sugihara, you know, the CEO of Warner Brothers, stepped down, he was part of the reason why Justice League had a few flaws, or most of the DCEU. But now that he's gone and someone else stepped up, hey, we might be in the right direction with the DCEU. And if Shazam is the promise of what's to come, then I'm impressed. So without further ado, as I give my reviews, I'll say what I like, what I dislike, little homages and Easter eggs. So without further ado, let's get started. What I loved the most about Shazam was not the fact that it was a superhero movie, you know, that goes without saying, but the fact that it was a superhero movie that had heart and had like a lot of sympathy. Like, you can feel for the character. It was a story and character driven movie, you know, especially with the foster kids, you know, Billy Batson and Freddie. Like one particular scene, this is a spoiler filled video, where Billy went back to go see his mom, and when he found her, she was just very, you know, reluctant to even like embrace him, because, you know, it turns out that she saw him leave at the carnival, you know, he was a little baby, and she felt that as though he would be better off with a better family. And, you know, 'cause she was a teen mom, she didn't know what to do. She said her parents were going to kick her out, she had nowhere else to go, so she figured that, you know, for the sake of her son, you know, it's best that he goes somewhere else. Like, you know, that's kind of disheartening. But you know, I almost cried in the movie. Like, you know, stuff like that you don't really usually see in a superhero movie, and they've been saying that too. Like, you know, Shazam kind of changes the game a little bit. Sure, some people could cry with the deaths on Infinity War or a few scenes in Black Panther, but I mean, maybe not to this extent. But I don't know, that's just me rambling. I felt for him, and even Freddie, you know, even though I was never disabled in high school, you know, he has a disability. He was still bullied, and, you know, I can empathize with someone else that's been bullied. So the point I'm trying to make is that abandonment and bullying is universal. Another thing I love was that the movie was within the DCEU, but it stood on its own, like a real standalone movie. Like Aquaman and Wonder Woman, you know how those movies still made references to the other movies and other characters, but, you know, they definitely laid the ground down that this is a standalone film within the DCEU, and I love that. Oh, we all been knew about the Superman cameo a long time ago. Yeah, for about a year now, since Henry Cavill, you know, he was supposed to come in and film the cameo, but he couldn't because, you know, his contract's up and scheduling, so, you know, that kind of got spoiled. But we were excited to know about it, like, oh, Superman's gonna be in a movie. But he was in the movie, it just wasn't Henry Cavill, and they need to make a Superman movie. I'll get to that in a minute. Another thing that took me by surprise was the fact that they introduced the Shazam family, you know, Mary, Freddie, and all them having superpowers in this movie. I thought they were going to do it in the sequel, but hey, it was cool seeing Megan Good too. So one thing I really didn't like, I love Mark Strong as an actor. I just thought he played a better Sinestro in the Green Lantern movie than he did Dr. Sivana in this movie. I mean, he was just like DC is known for that. DC had the best villains. He was just this guy. Sivana was just a twirly mustache kind of guy. I don't know. He was just like a bland villain. Granted, he had a pretty crucial backstory. When Sivana was a kid, his dad and older brother treated him like shit. He felt very powerless. But now that years later he's an adult, he has power beyond his brother and his father's control, and he gets his revenge on them. He murders them. So of course, in a post-credit scene, we see Sivana in jail, writing down all kind of hieroglyphs, Egyptian hieroglyphs, Egyptian hieroglyphs, just writing all kind of symbols over the walls of his cell. And we hear a voice. Now, let me pause here for a second. When you purchase your tickets on Fandango, sometimes they'll give out a comic that pertains to the movie that you're going to see, or like a song from the soundtrack. But this time, with Shazam, they gave us like 2 issues of Shazam. One of the issues had this little worm character who crawls into people's heads and takes over their mind. He appeared on the post-credit scene talking to Dr. Sivana, and I was like, oh wow, they kind of gave us a hint of who's going to be the villain in the next movie. But then again, there's going to be a Black Adam movie with The Rock, so maybe he might coincide with this movie, with the sequel. But hey, but The Rock produced this movie, so of course he's on board. So back to what I was saying earlier about Superman having a movie. This week, Detective Comics, aka Batman's Comics, celebrates 1,000 issues, and I'm getting that. But I was going back and rereading Superman's 1,000th issue from Action Comics. You guys can see it's kind of bright. There we go. And I was just thinking, prior to seeing this movie, like, man, Superman has such a great mythology. We need more Superman stories. The technology is up to par today, and we couldn't really get away with it back in the 70s and 80s. Even early 2000s, the director described it as Superman meets Big. That movie with Tom Hanks, where the kid wishes that he could be older, and turns out after he made that wish, he became older. So during the fight with Shazam and Sivana, they were fighting at a toy store, and while Sivana was rushing towards Shazam, there was a piano on the ground. So a lot of people who knew the Tom Hanks movie Big kind of got the reference. There was also a reference with, I guess, Talkie Tani. That's another character from the Shazam mythology. It's a talking tiger. That tiger played a crucial role in this movie. Well, not really a crucial role, but for fans of the mythology, they would know that stuffed tiger becomes, real later on, like a real anthropomorphic tiger. So overall, I give this movie 5 out of 5. Yeah, that's rare for a DC movie, right? Even for me. Usually it's like 4 out of 5, but this was like a solid 5 out of 5. Like, it was a really entertaining movie. It was entertaining. It had drama. It kept me at the edge of my seat. It was a really good movie, and I had fun. Alright, so have you guys seen Shazam? Are you planning on seeing it? Where else should the DCEU go? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and like always, deuces.